Hello, scrappers and recyclers. Welcome to Shark Scrapper Live, where we talk about the prices of industrial metals, precious metals, what's going on in the markets that involve the wonderful world of scrapping that we play in. It is great to be here. Sorry I missed y'all last week. Just wasn't there. We were just feeling a tad bit off, and you deserve to have me 100% when we're live. So, it is great to be here. We've got some really cool stuff to talk about today. I want to welcome Roger at CU Scrapping, David Fillet. David, I saw your email. I will let you know. Thanks, man. I appreciate the offer. E-Waste Mike, great to have you here. Scrapping Irish is in the house. The Copper Buck Recycling, man, welcome. Great to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Mike's Meltdown is here. JD's Recycling, welcome. Electronic Scrapper, great to have you here. All right, so that's it for saying hello to everybody that has signed in so far. We are going to dive right in and talk about what's going on with our precious metal for today. And of course, we know that it's silver. Silver. This is the AppMex website, and I need to reiterate. I have to say this. I do not have any formal relationship with AppMex. I am not sponsored. I'm not an affiliate. I don't get any money from them. I like to put their website up as a way to show you where you can purchase physical gold and silver if you want to. And there's plenty of places to do that, right? There's JM Bullion. There's plenty of places where you can buy precious metals online. You can also go to your local coin store. You can go to your pawn shop. So just a number of places that you can go to do this. AppMex is one that I have used frequently to buy and sell my precious silver and gold. And no drama. I tell you what, it's so easy. I've never had any trouble at all buying or selling through AppMex, so highly recommended. All right, let's see. We've got silver at 36.56 US dollars per ounce. Here we're looking at the 3-day, and really there isn't a whole lot going on. I mean, just it's up 0.16, but you can barely see an upward trend in that line. We've just got a lot of moving up and down, which for a 3-day, not a big deal. Let's look at the week. Again, we had this little plateau in the beginning of the week, and then we've got some ups and downs going on here for the week. Nothing to get terribly excited about. For the month, we have a little more obvious climb here. And all of this is to be expected with what's going on with world economy, with wars and shooting and things like that that's going on out there. We expect precious metal prices to go up, especially gold and silver. So if we then go take a look at the 3-month, we had a real nice climb here early on. We dropped out and started climbing back up again. So for the quarter, again, we're looking good here. We're up 14.4%. So those are all the kind of things we like to see as investors or traders in silver, gold and silver. For the year, look at all of this variation going on here. We're looking at 1 year, all right? So we're going back a whole 365 days. And, you've got a lot of variability, but kind of up, and then we drop off. We've got these roller coaster rides going on here with silver, and for some people, this is great because there are people out there that trade on this volatility. And there are folks that do pretty well doing this. I'm not one of them. I'm a very boring investor. I don't try to play the day game. I don't try to play the changes like that. That's just, to me, that's way too much work. It would require me paying attention every day and just doing this, just doing the investing scenario. And that's I'm not good at that. There are people that are, and I'm glad they're out there doing it. Let's pop over here to trading economics. I like the trading economics charts for a number of reasons, but one of them is that I can go up here, I can pull up what they call the candlestick charts. It shows us where things opened and closed during the trading period. We're going to zoom in here to our sort of our more recent time frame. And we can see that silver was kind of climbing. We have the Trump administration makes their big announcement for tariffs in April. So silver falls and then slowly starts. We have the initial fall. Then we climb back out again as investors, start doing what investors do and go into safe havens. Now we see kind of this up and down, and then later in this period, starting here around June 2nd, we see some pretty big climbs here, pretty big green candlesticks as silver is marching back up. And what's driving this? We see that investors have locked in profit. Oh, so that what they're saying here, silver prices slipped. Here, let's take a look real quick here at the end of the period, right? So what they're talking about is right here where silver slipped a little bit. And what they're saying is that it slipped because investors were locking in their profits. All right. So what that means is we had the silver prices going up here. And then investors said, we're kind of pushing this. I want to get some money off the table, take some profits here. So they sold in here, and that's caused the prices to come down a little bit. Nothing unusual in that behavior at all. Now, despite the pullback, silver remains supported by resilient industrial demand, persistent supply shortages, and its appeal as a safe haven. So what they're talking about here is that silver, unlike gold, has a lot of industrial demand. Solar panels, electronics use it a lot more silver than they do gold. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that gold doesn't have industrial uses. I'm just saying that silver is more of an industrial metal than gold. And so you've got a lot of demand signal for silver. There is not as much production to meet the demand. So from a supply and demand perspective, that should keep prices strong. And silver also has that luxury of being an investment grade precious metal. So you get the investors who are looking to protect their portfolios in times of economic turmoil. So they go to gold and silver to do that. And silver also has that extra advantage of being the kind of thing that small time investors like a lot of us can afford to buy into the silver market, whereas gold might be a little bit steep. So we see this going on with silver here. Let's go back out. Oops, let's do this button first. Let's go back out, go to our line chart. And let's see, what are we looking at for the forecast? Now, remember, I want to draw your attention to this part of the chart right here. Hey, is that outline big and fat enough for y'all? You know what I just realized? I just saw that this was going on. I don't know why the chart didn't flip over there. Really sorry about that, folks. So here we are. We're talking about the forecast. I'm not going to repeat everything that I was just talking about for silver. That's embarrassing. Sorry about that. But let's look at this forecast. We're looking at silver getting up to 40. So silver fell a little bit. We were just talking about that. But they've got a price forecast going up to 37.16 by the end of this quarter, and potentially pushing 40 in the 12-month period ahead. Now, I've looked at some other places where they're showing this going beyond 40, going above 40 in the year ahead here. So, I think we can relatively safely expect that silver is going to push 40. So if you're one of those folks that's kind of on the fence right now, you're not sure if you want to make the leap into silver because or add to your existing portfolio because of the prices, well, we've still got some more upside to go here. And um, I don't buy when silver is in this price range, but that's because I already have quite a bit of silver, and I'm at that place with my portfolio where I'm not ready to add to my silver unless prices got really low, which I don't see that happening anytime soon. So I'm right now looking for uh, taking some profits on silver as it starts to push near 40. So for me, I'm not buying silver right now, but if you don't have silver in your portfolio or you want to keep adding to your portfolio, assuming that you can get a reasonably good um, premium, as in not much premium on your silver, then it's not a bad time to. You can still make some money if you're buying some silver right now, but be very, very careful of your premium. All right, let's go over and see. But you know what? Before I go over to read the comments, I want to do this because I cheated you all out of the candlestick charts here because my screen didn't flip over the way it should have. So I'm going to go back here to the 1 year mark and we're going to open this up like this. And this was the chart that I was looking at when I was talking about where investors had, where silver had gotten pretty high in value and then investors took some money off the table. So that's the chart I was looking at when I was talking about that. I do apologize that it didn't get up on the screen. Um, Technical difficulties, as in I pushed the wrong buttons. I'm going to let y'all look at that while I take a look at your comments, and I'll bet you that there's a few of you, more than a few of you, that are saying, "Hey, Sharky, the chart isn't up. The chart isn't up." It's I tell you what, it's no matter how many times I do this, it's a real challenge sometimes to keep track of everything that's going on. So let's see, who all do we have? Ewace Mike. Did I say hi, Mike? I don't remember if I said hi, Mike, yet. Um, Copperbuck is saying that the afternoon storms need to stop. Man, I tell you what, I don't miss that. Well, you know what? In a way, I kind of do. I used to love the afternoon thunder boomers in Florida. We've been getting some rain here. In fact, you know what? Here, let's do this. Hang on a second. Let's do this and this and this. Let's see what's going on. I tell you what, if you don't already have something like this, um, you really want to get yourself one of these. It's battery operated. This one has a hand crank on the back here, so that if the battery is dead and I can't plug it in, I can crank it up to charge it. It's got a solar panel on the top here, so I can charge it with the solar panel. It is this afternoon, showers and thunderstorms likely. Highs around 80. West winds around 5 miles an hour. Chance of rain 70%. Tonight, partly cloudy. A chance of showers and thunderstorms until midnight. So yeah, you definitely want to get yourself one of these. That was the NOAA weather broadcast, and it's you get these things and they'll automatically tune to your local station. So yeah, these are great little things to have handy. Um, if you can't find one, there's a couple places you can look. You can look on the Red Cross website. They have some. There's also the guy that I look at, go to all the time for weather, Ryan Hall, y'all. He has weather radios that he sells out fast, but he's got some real good weather radios on his channel as well. Oh, let's see. Freaking Awesome joined us. Freaking Awesome. Welcome. Great to have you here. Happy Father's Day, everybody. All you dads out there. I had a card from my little golden retriever. So she sent this card was waiting for me today. I know it's hard to read the handwriting. Happy Father's Day. I love you very much. Don't you hate mommy? Mommy's Bad sense of humor going on there. Bad sense of humor. Oh, let's see. Mr. Matthews is in the house. Ian, great to have you here. Let's see. I'm looking back. I'm looking down there. Copperbuck apparently took some time off from scrapping. He's got a whole lot of newer names in here. Yep. A lot goes on. A lot goes on. Mike's meltdown is saying that he's buying gold and silver buying gold and silver gets complicated. Are you doing it as an investment or as a hedge? As an investment, I wouldn't buy it this time. As a hedge against the U.S. dollar, possibly. Yep. It really is. So much depends on why you are buying gold and silver. It's so important to understand why you're doing it. Don't just do it because everybody else is doing it, but have a reason why you're doing it. Let's see. Yep, bunch of people saying Happy Father's Day out there. Yeah, it's getting kind of long back here, isn't it? Getting kind of long. I think I need to have Mrs. Shark do a little cutting here. Homer's Reluctant Odyssey. Welcome, Homer's. Great to have you here. Urban Prospector, welcome to the game. Great to have you here. Okay, so we chatted some about what's going on with silver. So as you all know, the next thing up in our weekly show is our safety note, and our safety note for today is clothing. All right. Now, the first thing is I don't want you to think that you got to go, like this, right? This is firefighter type protection, and as scrappers, we don't need to be out there wearing firefighter level protection. But having said that, we also got to be dressing a little more sensible than Ian Matthews' assistant in his shop. Sorry, Ian, I had to do that, man. And look, for those of you that have been around the YouTube scrapping community for a while, you know that there were channels where a young lady wearing kind of like this would sit there and scrap stuff. And I'm telling you, that was dangerous. That's not what you want to be doing. Now, again, you don't need to be getting all carried away in firefighter grade clothing. But what I would suggest is, and I'm going to go to the Duluth website here because I own some of these work trousers from Duluth, and I have them in different grades. So I've got what they call their fire hose work pants, these things here. And I mean, these are tough. These are very, very heavy duty, very tough. And yet they're still somewhat comfortable. But, you can imagine a pair of trousers made out of fire hose material. You can also get them as, the coverall types, shorts. Now they also have a lighter weight to these work pants. So you don't have to get the heavy fire hose pants because certainly in the summer when it's hot and humid, that very heavy fire hose pants could be really, it could cause you to overheat. So they have a lighter weight material as well that's also really tough and will protect you against scrapes and sharp edges and those kind of things. So I'm just recommending Duluth because, again, I'm not sponsored by Duluth. I don't get anything from them. I'm not an affiliate at all. But they just make really good trousers. They're really tough. And, they've got different styles. So you've got the kinds with the work pockets, so that you can have your stuff, readily handled. They've got loops on the legs where you can hang some of your tools if you need to. So I just find that they are a really good work clothing to get. In addition to your trousers, you also want to look for your shirts, and they've got t-shirts, they've got long shirts, they've got polos, they got sweatshirts and fleece, and so they've got the shirts that you can get as well. Shirts are another one of those things that so much depends on what it is that you're going to be doing. There's nothing wrong with t-shirts. I mean, really, it's hot. You've seen me in t-shirts frequently. Yes, your arms are exposed, so you need to be a little bit careful with that. If you're going to be going to a scrapyard or something like that, you want to try to have some bright colors, yellow and orange, the lime green kind of color like you see here. If you're going to be doing any hot work or sparks, then you probably want to be wearing something to protect your arms. The other thing that I thought was, and what actually motivated this safety discussion, was E-Waste Mike. In one of his videos this week, E-Waste Mike, he was doing a bunch of grinding on something. And so he had his apron, his work apron on. And, it's like, Mike and I have a lot of fun about him and his attention or lack thereof to safety. But even Mike understands that there are circumstances where you really need to have something that's protecting yourself. Loose clothing, a t-shirt with the tails hang, that's flopping around, or a long sleeve shirt with the tail or the front part hanging out around rotating machinery is bad. It'll get caught up and it can drag the grinder right up against your stomach. I wonder who that may have happened to recently. So loose clothing is not a good thing. When you're using a grinder, you've got sparks, you've got metal dust flying all over the place. You don't want to be getting that all down inside of you and things like that. So having a work vest on, an apron, a shop apron, is really, it's a good investment to make, because that way not only are you not endangering yourself for getting cut and things, but you're protecting your clothes as well. So I think these work aprons are really important to have. I've got one at the shark cage that I wear when I'm doing some hot work, grinding kind of stuff. And the very fact that E-Waste Mike put on a work apron should be motivation enough for y'all to get yourselves, some sort of work apron, leather apron, something of that nature. Now, again, I'm just showing you what Duluth has. There's plenty of places where you can get these. So, I don't want to, I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not saying that's the only place to get them. I'm just saying it was a good place for me to show you a full range of work clothes. And, for the female scrappers out there, Duluth makes clothes for women as well. All right, let us get on over to our discussion of, here, wait a minute, I got to do some buttonology going on here, and then I got to do this. I want to take a look at comments that folks have been making about their clothes. Roger, I always wear my leather welder's apron when I'm using the grinder. Yeah, you waste a lot of t-shirts otherwise, right? They just get really dirty and nasty, and plus you risk cutting yourself. I clicked on a couple of the brighter colors in there. Certainly a lot of the colors that you saw here weren't bright colors. You don't have to wear bright colors all the time, but if you do frequent a scrapyard or workplace, it's good to have some brighter colored t-shirts, even if it's just something that you throw on when you go there, or a vest, so that it brings attention to you being there. Mike says, He was having a bad day and he accidentally put it on. Oh man, that's funny. Freaking awesome is working on some stuff right now. Working with his grinder, taking apart some fuse boxes. All right, very cool. Very cool. So, Mike. Oh, Mike. Okay, so let's get over here. Our industrial metal today is aluminum, and we are, if I push the buttons in the right order this time, I can't believe I was really gooned that one up earlier in the show, didn't I? All right, so here we are with aluminum. Again, we're on the Trading Economics website. And what are we saying about aluminum? Aluminum futures dropped to around 2,500 a ton. So it's important to understand there's a difference between futures and the current price, right? The futures is what contracts have been, people have agreed to contracts that they're going to pay that price out in the future somewhere. Um, but the current price might be a little bit higher or lower. You know, you never know. Anyway, futures dropped to 2,500 per ton, retreating from the recent 1 month highs as optimism surrounding the U.S. China trade talks began to fade. Early in the week, the investors had responded positively to the outcome of the 2 day negotiations, and then they kind of lost confidence in the negotiation. Meanwhile, investor sentiment turned cautious. Okay, yeah. Plus, we've got the war that with Israel and Iran that got launched. If you want to call it a war or attack, maybe it's going to become a war. However you decide that. We've got the ongoing Ukraine-Russia war. I mean, there's just a lot of volatility going on out there, right? I mean, just it's nuts out there. So we have some interesting impacts on aluminum that we need to think about. This is a 1 year look at aluminum. And we can see here we've got March. We get a lot of the talk of the trade, so tariffs, so the prices drop off. We're currently in that 50% tariff range, but what you can see, and I'm going to zoom in on this part right here. So we're going to zoom in here. So the prices drop off, and then as nations and U.S. start talking tariff back and forth, what we see is that aluminum prices start to move back up again. So you got a couple of things going on here. You're still going to have a demand signal, and this is a global look. So these numbers are global. So you're still going to have the global demand for aluminum, and as buyers start to understand, or at least wrestle with, they reset their supply chains. Excuse me. So prices are adjusting and climbing as a result of all these influences that are going on. And the question then becomes, what does that mean for us as scrappers? Hang on a second. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Well, let's go ahead and go back out here and take a look at the forecast. And if we take a look at the forecast, we see that the price is dropping. So they're looking at prices falling down 0.6, 0.4 compared to the same time last year. And that's on contracts for future difference, which I'm not going to bother to explain. You can look it up if you're really that curious about that. And aluminum is expected to trade at 24.6 US dollars per ton by the end of the quarter, and trading down at 23.47 in the 12-month time frame. Now, not everybody sees this happening. There are other analysts out there who are putting it a little bit higher at 2,700 per metric ton. So there are other analysts that have it, up here in this time. Here, wait a minute, let me get a line. So there's other analysts that are seeing it actually going up here in the future. And of course, it also depends on how far into the future you want to look. Um, but for a number of folks in the course of the next year, there are folks that are looking at it up here and folks that are looking at it down here. So you've got all this variability in the middle. And of course, a lot of it's going to depend on where you're located. So for us here in the United States, we've got the push me, pull you of the tariffs that are going to make U.S. produced aluminum a little less expensive. We hope. What's going to happen is the U.S. producers of aluminum are just going to jack their prices to match whatever the cost, or close to, maybe just a little bit below what it would cost people to buy imported aluminum. Hey, that's what manufacturers do, right? And so we are going to see the cost of aluminum go up. So companies that make things out of aluminum are going to have to pay more for their aluminum, regardless of what happens with production here in the United States. And so cost of goods will go up while the demand continues to go up. What we can hope for the best as scrappers is that here in the U.S. especially, that the demand signal for recycled aluminum goes up because the demand for aluminum goes up. And I mean, certainly the demand for aluminum is going to continue to increase regardless of what happens with tariff and such, because it's a very useful metal. There may be some manufacturers that shift and actually start going back to steel in place of aluminum if they can, trying to take advantage of a little bit lower steel prices. But there's going to be a lot of back and forth on this for a while. So if you look at the forecast for aluminum going down, what we have to ask ourselves as scrappers, recyclers, is what do we do with our aluminum? The most important thing is keep track of your local yard. What is your local yard doing? If you have the opportunity and you have the relationship with the managers, to talk to them directly and just ask them, hey, where do you see things going? Sometimes they'll share that with you. If you have a good relationship with your yards, frequently they'll share that information with you. And then you can decide based on what's happening with your local yard, because the prices can vary a lot at your local yard. If your local yard has contracts that they have to fill, and those contracts have a long time frame, well, they may be paying more for aluminum than what another yard might pay that doesn't have a contract, because they're obligated to fill those contracts. Then again, your yard might be near enough to a secondary aluminum refiner mill, so that they can keep getting good prices with lower transportation costs compared to someplace else. For me, aluminum is a cash flow metal. So I don't keep it, I don't hoard it. When I get enough of it, I sell it. And I'm right about there. I've had a lot of material coming in. I've got a lot of aluminum that's in bins ready to go back. So I'll be making a scrapyard run probably this week sometime. And we'll see what's going on with aluminum at my local yard. Now, remember, we're kind of out in the boonies up here in the mountains. So my local yard, the good and the bad is prices don't change a whole lot. They're usually lower than you might expect, especially in a larger area. If I was closer to, say, Charlotte or something like that. But they also don't change their prices frequently. So it's a bit more stable, which is, a good thing. So you have some better idea of what's happening. I did receive some emails during the week from some folks that said that their aluminum prices were holding solid, whereas their insulated copper wire prices went down. So that I thought was kind of interesting. So again, my recommendation: check with your yard as always, and just treat aluminum like a cash flow metal. There's too much going on here to try to play this game with aluminum. Just get your cash flow for the aluminum. and keep it moving. Because if you try to, I just don't see a whole lot of upside to holding on to aluminum, thinking that it's going to get really high sometime in the future. Unless, of course, you're in your teens, 20s, you've got a farm and you can just throw it out back and keep it out of the rain, or somewhat keep it out of the rain or something like that. Just let it keep piling up for another 10, 20 years. Then you might see some worthwhile difference. Oh man, let's see. What kind of stuff did you all see with aluminum, or what's been going on? Urban Prospector was commenting on Duluth is having a 25% off Father's. Yeah, yeah, definitely. They are having a sale right now. So if you want to get some work clothes and you need some, probably worth taking a look at it right now while they're having the sale going on. William, welcome to the show. Great to have you here. And Richard Hulbert is saying, I'm stockpiling, waiting to see what the prices do. I do it as a hobby for fun, so you don't have to sell it. That's a really good point, Richard. If you don't have to sell because you just do this as a hobby and you have the space, then yeah, you hang on to it. You just let it pile up somewhere, because what do you care, right? You're just doing it for fun. And at some point you can sell it and you can make a little bit of money on it and it pays for the hobby. That is spot on. Other folks like E-Waste Mike and I, we do this as a living, right? So we have expenses that we have to pay every month, so we have to keep cash moving. Cash flow is important when you do this as a small business. Freaking awesome! Only 50 kilograms. That actually as much as I have this time. Ian Matthews, and takes up a lot of room. Okay. Yeah, that's a big thing. Aluminum can take up a lot of room to get any weight with it. So, yeah, the good and the bad of aluminum is it's really lightweight. So the bad part of it being really lightweight is it takes up a lot of space. Oh man. Bill Clement. Bill was commenting on my saying 10 to 20 years. He doesn't like his scrap that much. Yeah, that's funny. All right. It is time to get to the major announcement. I'm telling you, this is amazing stuff. I'm having a hard time here because I have thought about what I had thought about this for a long time. Um, and Chris at boardsort.com has been working on this for a long time. And he and I have talked about it, and I've been beta testing a tool that he is recently that he's getting ready to release to go live with. In the electronic scrap world, we have a lot of times when we're not sure what something is. And I frequently get, and Chris at Boardsort frequently gets questions about, what is this board? What is this board? What is this? Because when folks just get into this hobby, they don't know. It's a circuit. Well, what kind of circuit board? Low, medium, high, motherboard, telecom, a lot of confusion. And a lot of scrapyards don't understand. I mean, they haven't trained their people. So a lot of scrapyards just buy it as low, medium, high. And then a lot of scrappers don't understand that for some places like boardsort.com, you can actually get a lot more money because they segregate it into what the boards really are and what value is inside those boards. But understanding how to identify those boards is frequently a difficult question. Some of them are very obvious. A small socket metal motherboard. It is what it just is what it is. The I series motherboards. I mean, some of them are very obvious. But even having said that, if you're brand new to the scrapping world, you may not be that obvious to you. So here is where Boardsort has come in and has been. I mean, Chris has been working on this for a long time. And as AI got smarter. Chris has been able to develop an AI tool to help all of us identify our circuit boards. And he has authorized me to share this with you. It is uh, just coming out of beta. So I've been doing some offline testing with him, and it still has some learning to do. But I want to share this with you, and I've been authorized by Chris to share this with you. So I'm going to bring up the Boardsort website. We're going to pop over here. So here's the Boardsort website. I'm already logged in as Shark Scrapper. And if you go to the sales menu right here and click on the sales menu of boardsort.com, you're going to see this. So you got this tool right here called Oscar. Wait a minute, I need to fatten that line up a little bit. Oscar. And it says it will be available soon. It's going to be available next week. When you click on Oscar, it's going to take you into this tool, Optical Scrap Classification and Reporting. And the way this works is you upload a picture of whatever it is you're looking at. And then the tool, using artificial intelligence that has been trained by Chris at Boardsort, will identify that board for you. He's got a little note here on some camera tips. So you want to make sure that you have a clear, well-lit picture of a single item. Otherwise, the AI might get confused. You don't want to have a cluttered background. I actually, when I was beta testing this, I was doing some weird stuff like, I had a workbench that looked a lot like Ian Matthews' workbench with a board in the middle of it. And I was surprised how well it was able to identify the board, even with other junk around it. You want to make sure that the entire item is visible in the frame. If you're doing a motherboard, make sure that the CPU socket is clearly visible and centered in the image, because that's one of the key differentiators is the CPU socket. And for media boards like a hard drive or a CD-ROM, ensure that the connectors, the SATA or the IDE ports, are clearly visible. Only one side of the item needs to be shown. Choose the side with the most identifying features and components. All right, so keep these tips in mind. This will work whether you're using your mobile phone or your computer. And what you do is you go in here and you choose a file. So we're going to choose a file. I'm going to go down here. And you know what? Before I do this, hang on just a second. I gotta do this because I don't know for sure. I don't want anything to come up that shouldn't come up. So don't get too excited. We're not talking anything real fun. We're just talking that sometimes I have stuff that belongs to clients and things like that, and I don't want to accidentally reveal anything that belongs to somebody that hasn't given me permission. All right, so now let's go back over here. Okay, so we're going to go down and we're going to grab an image of something. The first thing we'll do is, let's see, let's just take, this should be an easy one. All right, you open that up and, you and I know that this is a gold-fingered ram with a shield on it. But let's make sure that the AI will grab it. So we click on Upload and Grade. And it comes back and it says Goldfinger shielded RAM. It tells you what the current value is. Then if you have another picture, you can click here, return to upload page. Go back up here. Let's do another one. We're going to go here and we're going to grab this CPU. So here we have a CPU, and we're going to let it grade that one out. Cyrix IBM K5 Win gold cap value 100 per pound. So as you can see, this is kind of interesting so far. Let's go back here and let's try to find something that will give it a little more of a challenge here. Oh, let's see. What do we have here? Let's take a look at this. So we've got some stuff around here, but this looks like an I series. So let's see if it comes back and tells us that's an I series. Metal socket, no I series. Why did it? All right, we will let Chris know for sure that it messed that one up. And it probably was because, here, let me bring that picture back. Oh, I don't know. So you know what happened there? That picture was not clear. This was the, here you go. This was the image that I put up there, and it couldn't see the socket clearly. So that's why it wasn't able to get that one. So let's go back and choose another one. Let's see. Let's try this one. All right. So this one should be pretty clear. I don't have the whole board in here. That's not going to be a good one. Let's see. What are you? That is also doesn't have the whole board in it. Let's try this one. We've got a little better lighting on the socket. So let's see what it comes back with. I series and AMD AM/FM socket motherboard at 175 a pound. So there you can see it's really important that you have it properly lit and that the picture is clear, because otherwise you're not going to get an accurate grading of the board. Let's see. Let's take this one. Here's another RAM. In this case, it's not shielded. So let's compare that to the shielded one. It should come back easy. Gold fingered RAM. Yeah, there you go. $34.50 a pound. Some good prices. Oh, let's see. What do I have here? Let's see what this is. Oh, this should be an interesting board. Let's see what it comes up with this one. High grade telecom. Yeah, that's what I got paid for that board, was a high grade telecom. Now, there's a few things that are really important to keep in mind. When this goes live, Chris is going to change the number of searches that you're allowed to have. Because I was beta testing this, he gave me 200 searches per day. so I could put this thing through its paces. Probably when it goes live this week, you will be limited to 20 searches per day. As you can imagine, this is very resource intensive, right? It has to go to a, I don't want to call it a supercomputer, but it's going to a server with a lot of oomphy, and it's processing those images compared to the AI that Chris has been training. So there's a lot of resource going on behind the scenes here. So Chris is going to be limiting it. I think it'll probably be 20 searches per day. You must be registered for boardsort.com. If you're not registered, it's really easy. You just go up here to Boardsort's website, and you can register right on the website. It's free. I'm logged in, so you don't see the registration tab right now because I'm already logged in, but you'll see a tab where you can register. You have to be registered to use the tool. And the tool is very easy. You just go into the sales menu, click on Oscar, and it'll take you to the tool. It'll tell you how many searches you've used for the day. So, again, this will probably be 20 because it is resource intensive. And then here's what's happening behind the scenes. Chris has been training this now for quite a while. And he's had a couple of us in here trying to break it. It's AI, so it's learning. So every time it gets a new image, it's learning. And Chris is going in after the fact and QCing the work and retraining it. So you may get some errors in here. Some of those errors may be the result of bad lighting or other things that caused a problem with the grading. But some of it in things like your peripheral boards, peripheral high, peripheral low, those kind of nuances, it just needs to get smarter. So don't shy away from it. Use the tool, but understand that the result you get is not a firm result for sales yet. If you get the result and you put it into you put a box of that stuff together and you use this tool, it might change when they actually get the box. So there may be some changes. So it's still getting smarter. It's not to be used for sales just yet. Eventually it will be once it's very smart and the error rate is drastically reduced. Right now it's doing really well with standard kind of boards that you would throw at it. But there are still some tricky little boards that can throw it off. But the only way it's going to keep getting smarter is we continue to train it and put it through its paces. So let's see. Let's try another one. We've got a few minutes before we need to hop over to Ireland. So let's see what happens if we put 2 ram sticks in the image. So we've got 2 of the little half ram sticks that are in this image. Normally, you only want to have one thing, but in this case, they were both the same, so it came back with an accurate result. So that was very cool. And we're going to go back here and we're going to find something else to throw in there. Ooh, let's see, what do we have here? This could be fun because we have gold fingers, and so it'll be interesting to see how it comes back with a grade on this. Let's go ahead and do this. Boardsort bought these boards from me as Telcom High. So let's see what it grades out as. High grade Telcom. So the gold fingers on that did not confuse the algorithm. It understood that because of everything else that was on there, that it was in fact a high grade board. I'm sure that you can imagine the thought process that Chris had to go through when he was training Oscar to identify boards. Certainly with motherboards, it was pretty easy. You look at the socket, and from the socket, you have a good idea of what that is. But other boards, not so clear. And so what Chris has had to spend a lot of time, and we're talking years in the making here, all right? This is how forward thinking Chris has been on this. He's spent years on this, going through and asking the questions: how do people identify boards? What's the thought process? What's the logic flow? Chris and I have spent time talking about this, and he used those conversations and conversations with other people over time to understand how to train this tool to be able to identify this stuff. And then what happens is when what Chris does is he goes in and looks at everything that Oscar identified, and he will check on those and retrain the tool for some of the missed items or the items that help the tool to get smarter. And that's pretty interesting. Talking with Chris about how he goes in and looks at the images and he says, "Oh yeah, it missed this thing on the board, and so now I've told it to recognize those things and look for these things." So it really is fascinating the way Chris has been training Oscar's AI to recognize boards. I mean, just really fascinating stuff going on here. I'm going to leave this up while I look at some of the comments that have been popping up here about Oscar. Let's see here. Where are we? I want to try to get back up to when I went in and. So, Ian and Scrapping Irish. The tool has been trained to throw out anything that's not electronic scrap, and the tool will ban you if you. It will block you if you send those kind of pictures in. So I would not recommend doing that unless you want to get kicked out. Yeah, yep, exactly. Exactly. So Homer, yeah, it's all fun and games until AI calls. Oh man, yeah, yeah. Everybody's having a lot of fun with that one. Oh man. North Star Stacker, welcome. Great to have you here. Yeah, Canada is a bit of a challenge for e-waste. It's a little hard to sell up there, but great to have you here. Great to have you on board. Um, William is saying that it's just easier to shove it all in a tumbler, no separation needed. If that is what you do, if you're one of those folks that does depopulating and then trying to extract the precious metals yourself, then yeah, this tool is not going to be of any value to you. Not everybody does that, and there's a lot of challenges with doing that. So it's for a lot of people selling their boards either to Boardsort or to some other buyer is what they do, and this is going to be a very good tool to help them. And I can see this being a really good tool for a lot of scrap yards that don't want to train or don't have the time to train their people. Once this tool is really on board, there's the potential that some scrap yards may actually start using the tool to help them. So that should be interesting. D-Scrapper, yeah, this is a really cool tool, isn't it? I would call it freaking awesome, but I don't want freaking awesome to get mad at me for using this channel name. Mike is saying this would be handy for a lot of people. He's still going to send his pictures in just to bug them. It's funny because Mike was commenting about, how many, how he's hoping that this is going to save him a lot of time. But he's still there to help. I mean, because, I can see the situation where somebody sends in something, they don't agree with the grading, and so they ask Mike about it. But that's going to be a very different thing, a different kind of question from Mike. Copperbuck is saying 20 a day is very reasonable. Yeah, because you know what's going to happen when it's a brand new tool. You're going to get a lot of people banging on it, but then after a while, it's going to settle down. And then, yeah, I think 20 a day is plenty good for getting the questions answered and what things are. John, welcome. It's a very cool feature Boardsort has. Because he has, on rare occasion, he has something he's not sure of, and he emails Chris with pictures. So I'm sure he's got, John, he loves to help people. He really does. And he's hoping that this tool will be like a first line to help folks. And then if you still really have some questions, he's still going to be there to help you out. That's what he does. Yeah, he actually had those listed as Irish sucker sticks for a while, but he got some complaints. People didn't understand, so he had to take that down. Hey, you know what, everybody? I just realized that it is time for us to head across the pond. So we can keep talking about this some more when we get over to Ireland. If I was not able to set up the redirect, so when I end this stream, please go to YouTube, type in Scrapping Irish, look for his live stream, and click on it. Join us over there in Ireland. Remember, I want to say that again. I did not get the redirect put in place today, so you're going to need to do it manually. I look forward to seeing you all across the pond in Ireland. If I don't see you over on Scrapping Irish's channel, have a great week. Be safe and keep on scrapping.